The observation deck of the Wandering Claw was supposed to be a place of quiet study. Tessa Vorn had been told this 17 times by the ship's education coordinator, a stern Valkyrian with silver fur and eyes that could freeze hydrogen. But the dozen cubs gathered around her now were anything but quiet. They chittered, their translators struggling to keep up with the overlapping questions. Their small furred bodies pressed closer, tails flicking with excitement. Tessa smiled. She'd been assigned to the colony ship as an engineering consultant, but somehow she'd become the cubs' favorite entertainment. Engineer Vorn, Cub Lore said, his voice high and clear above the others. He was the smallest of the group, with golden brown fur and oversized ears that twitched constantly. Is it true humans can survive explosions? Tessa laughed. Well, not inside an explosion. But we're pretty tough, yeah. Prove it. Another cub yelled. Yeah, show us human strength. Tessa held up her hands in mock surrender. The cubs had been pestering her for demonstrations ever since she'd accidentally bent a supposedly indestructible data tablet during a routine maintenance check. The Valkyrian crew had stared at her like she'd conjured fire from nothing. All right, she said, reaching into her supply pouch. Her fingers closed around something she'd smuggled aboard from the human quarter, something that would have seemed mundane on Earth but was utterly alien here. She pulled out a sealed aluminum can, its red surface decorated with white script. The cubs fell silent. What? What is that? Lore whispered, his ears folding back against his skull. It's called a soda can, Tessa explained, holding it up to the light. It's a sealed container. We use these to store carbonated beverages, drinks with gas dissolved in them under pressure. A larger cub at the back made a nervous sound. Pressure? How much pressure? Not much. Maybe 275 kilopascals. That's 40 pounds per square inch. The cub shrieked. The entire group stumbled backward, their fur standing on end. Several dropped to all fours, ready to bolt. Tessa blinked. She'd forgotten how the Valkyrians saw the universe. Their homeworld was low gravity, low pressure. Their engineering was elegant, precise, built for environments where forces were gentle and measured. The idea of casually carrying around a pressurized container and drinking from it was probably insane to them. It's perfectly safe, she assured them, though none looked convinced. Watch, she positioned her thumb under the tab. The cubs watched with the intensity of scientists observing a supernova. Lore had crept forward again, his curiosity apparently stronger than his fear. Tessa pulled. Tsh, crack. The sound echoed through the observation deck like a gunshot. The seal broke with a sharp hiss as pressurized gas escaped. Foam bubbled up from the opening, and the can made a subtle creaking sound as the internal pressure equalized. Every single cub screamed. They scattered like leaves in a hurricane, diving behind chairs, under tables, and one particularly acrobatic individual somehow made it halfway up a wall panel. Their translators filled the air with a cacophony of panic. Explosive decompression. She'll be killed.
Why isn't she running?
Tessa stood perfectly still, the open can in her hand, completely unharmed. She took a casual sip. The carbonation fizzed on her tongue. Cherry cola, her favorite. She'd been saving it for weeks. Slowly, cautiously, small furry heads began to peek out from hiding spots. Engineer Vorn? Lore's voice was barely a whisper. You're alive? Of course I'm alive, Tessa said, grinning. Told you it was safe. Lore emerged fully from behind an observation console. His ears were still flat against his head, but his eyes were wide with wonder. That was the most terrifying thing I've ever seen. The pressure differential, the structural failure, the explosive release of gas. He paused, whiskers twitching. Can you do it again? Tessa raised an eyebrow. I only brought one can. No, Lore said, padding closer. The other cubs were emerging now too, forming a cautious semicircle around her. I mean, explain it. How does it not explode? How do humans contain such forces in something so thin? He reached out a tentative paw toward the can. Tessa knelt down, bringing herself to their level. She let Lore touch the aluminum, his paw pads extremely gentle against the metal. It's about material science, she explained. This aluminum alloy is designed to be both lightweight and strong. The pressure inside isn't actually that dangerous, it's just higher than what you're used to. On Earth, our atmospheric pressure is higher than yours. We live in what you'd consider a high-pressure environment every day. Every day, a cub breathed. Every day, Tessa confirmed. And we don't just survive it, we thrive in it. We build things to withstand impacts, pressure changes, temperature extremes. We have to. Our world is rougher than yours. Lore's tail began to sway, a sign of excitement in Valkyrian body language. That's why you can bend our tablets. Why you can open sealed doors manually. Why the gravity on this ship doesn't bother you. His voice rose with each realization. You're all incredibly strong because you have to be. Pretty much, Tessa said. Do it again. The entire group suddenly shouted in unison. Tessa laughed. I told you I only have one. No, we mean... Lore looked around at his fellow cubs, then back at Tessa. Teach us. Teach us how humans engineer things. How you think about forces and pressures and... He gestured at the can with both paws. And controlled explosions. The other cubs chittered in agreement, pressing closer now, fear replaced entirely by fascination. Tessa looked down at the empty can in her hand, then at the eager young faces surrounding her. She'd come to this ship to help with engine modifications, not to become a teacher, but something warm settled in her chest at their enthusiasm. All right, she said, but first rule of human engineering. Respect the forces you're working with, but don't fear them. Understand? Understand? They chorused. Cub Lore's ears perked up fully for the first time. Can we start with more explosions? Tessa grinned. Let me tell you about combustion engines.